that it's actually not very pleasant for us, because as Airpeace family, we're not very happy coming here today to have this conference. But it is important that we clarify certain issues. And before I go into details, I would like to stress that we are fully aware of the support of the federal government of Nigeria for Airpeace. This is in no doubt at all. We are fully aware of the support of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for Airpeace. This is something that we deeply appreciate and we do not take for granted. And that's the reason why we wanted to clarify this. So this is not something that is in doubt at all. Now, we are fully aware of the inquiry by the FCCPC about exploitative fares that has been out there. We got this letter. Unfortunately, a day after we got the letter, it was out there in the press that FCCPC was investigating Airpeace. Even after the letter that was sent to us said an inquiry, and we were called to come to Abuja. We honored the request. In fact, I must tell you, I wasn't even the one that went. The chairman himself went to Abuja to honor this request, to listen to what they have to say about this inquiry. Let me try to explain something before I go deep into this whole matter. Aviation is a highly regulated industry. We're fully aware that this industry is regulated by NCAA, that's the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. So if there are any issues at all, and we have another agency that needs to make some inquiries about an airline, because they are a body on their own, the right channel would have been for them to approach the NCAA to say that, look, we have a concern or we need some clarification about one of your airlines doing ABCD. Are you aware of what is going on or what exactly is happening? Then NCAA would have, given them the full details. And if that is not even the case, or if they felt that that is not needed, which ordinarily should have been the right approach. Yes, you can write us. You can write us directly to say, Airpeace, we got these complaints about you. Can you provide us an explanation on what is going on? Like I said earlier, we did honor the request, but it's not for you to put it out there in the public, knowing full well that when our dear press pick it up, it could be, misrepresented as something else, which exactly is what is going on and why we are here today. Now, during the inquiry, when the news broke out the following day, it wasn't referred to as an inquiry, or rather, it was more or less like the federal government of Nigeria is investigating Airpeace. The truth is, a lot of people might not know the implications of just that ending alone. You are talking about the federal government of your country investigating the biggest airline in your country that has bent backwards 360 degrees for this country, that is representing this country out there, that is putting this country on the global map, making Nigeria proud. Not only that, this is an airline that stood out for this country during the COVID season, doing a whole lot of repatriation flights free, bringing in the COVID-19, vaccines free into this country without us for anything in return. I cannot remember how many times we went into India to bring in the stranded Nigerians there that had no money to come back. This same airline, during the xenophobic attack, without waiting for anybody, without asking for a kobo in return, went out there twice to bring Nigerians into this country. The same thing to Sudan. When nobody felt it safe to go into Sudan, this same airline did. This same airline this year broke the shackles, the huge exploitation that Nigerians were facing in the hands of those foreign airlines. This is not even essay. I can use myself as an example. I went into London for meetings 3 times early this year, before March, before we started. And on every single event, I was buying tickets as high as almost 18 million for my trip, one trip. I'll come back to that. The chairman visited the FCCPC, he honored their inquiry. Right there, they debunked the fact that they did not put it out there that they are investigating airpeace, that it was just an inquiry. They were even saying to the chairman, oh, but why didn't you debunk the news? But it is not the responsibility of airpeace to debunk the news, because we didn't put it out there in the first place. So if the inquiry had been misrepresented, the onus lie on the originator of the letter to have said, no, this wasn't our intention. And he went as far as breaking it down, explaining everything to them during the meeting. Before you say that an airline is exploiting someone, for goodness sake, how much information do we even have about airline operation? What exactly defines the ticket cost? How do you even come about the cost of a ticket? It is the operating cost of that flight. The operating cost. Then what are the factors that define operating costs? You start talking about fuel, which we all know contributes almost 60 to 65% of your operating costs. Today in Nigeria, we're buying 1 liter of fuel at almost 1,400 naira per liter. If I have to operate a 1-hour flight from here to Abuja, from here to Owerri, to Enugu, to Port Harcourt, I'm going to be using about 4,000 liters of fuel. And that's costing me almost 7 million naira. Now it depends. If there is weather and the captain will have to hold, or there is any kind of disruption, I'm going to burn more than that. So on the average, 1-hour flight is going to cost me 7 million naira. On fuel alone. And we're talking about you charging exploitative fares. Now I'm talking about the ACMI cost itself. When we lease the planes, because we all know the challenges that we are facing, we go out there at extremely putting everything on the line. Everything you've got, just because you want to make this aviation industry what it should be. Your journey, you're striving to fulfill, to satisfy the customers. You go out there, you get planes at very high cost. You bring them here. ACMI cost per hour. On the average, it's going to give you like $4,000. Please, can somebody help me? $4,000 per hour. Today, how much is $4,000 per hour? That's giving you almost another 7 million, right? So let's add it to the field. That's 14 million, 1 hour flight. I haven't left the flight, just 1 hour flight. Then we talk about insurance cost. What Nigerian airlines pay for insurance is like times 3, times 4 of what other people pay in other crimes. Do you know the reason? Because Nigerians stigmatized. We bear the brunt of this. We pay for this. Insurance costs alone is going to introduce almost another 5 million on one flight. Then you talk about the cost of funding. The cost of funding, because we know that aviation is a high capital industry. This is a very sensitive sector. This is a sector that I tell people, you carry human blood on your shoulders. So you cannot afford to take anything for granted. You cannot manage nothing because there is no bus stop in the air. So it simply means you've got to do everything humanly possible. Follow the regulation, the safety requirement, the protocols, every single requirement for a safe flight before you take off. So at the end of the day, I'm just talking about operating costs. I'm not even moved. I'm not even talking about the airlines, your own benefit or profit. No, I'm just talking about operating the flight. So at the end of the day, you realize that for you to operate 1 hour flight, you're talking about a cost of almost 20 million. I'm getting there, sir. The cost of the funds in Nigeria today is costing us, you're getting about 30% to borrow the money. If you're an American carrier or a UK carrier, you're probably just going to pay 2%. Let me remind us, we are flying the same aircraft. We are operating Boeing planes. We're operating Airbus. We're operating Embraer. These are the same planes. BA is operating. Delta is operating. United is operating. Lufthansa is operating. KLM, Air France. They are all operating the same type of aircraft that we are operating. So they are burning the same fuel. They are using the same spare parts that we have to change Naira. Before I come back to this exploitative fares. Well, we have to change the Naira because the smallest rivet on the plane, you can buy it here. Ordinary paints, if you want to do a touch-up on the aircraft, you've got to bring it in. So we have to pay dollars to bring it in. To provide you a safe flight, we have to spend the dollars. So after you borrow the money at 30%, 30%, then you will have to buy all the spare parts, buy the fuel, pay insurance at times 4 or what your older counterparts are paying in the other country. And then we will now charge 95,000 to Abuja, 100,000 to Abuja, 120 to somewhere, and then we are crucified for this. This is terribly unfair. We will not be wrong to say that this is a witch hunt. You can't do this. It's unfair. If you can't even tell us thank you, can you at least allow us to breathe? If you check a 1-hour flight from Atlanta to Charleston, if you have your iPod, you can just check. It's going to cost you nothing less than $400. These are the people borrowing money at 2%. These are the people that we are buying the same spare parts. What does that tell you? How much is $400 in Nigeria?
500 and something.
It's about like 650,000 naira, right?
Yeah.
So it simply means that if we really want the airlines in Nigeria to thrive, to survive, then 1-hour ticket in Nigeria should not cost anything less than 500 naira. But can we do it?
500,000.
I mean 500,000. Is it possible? Where is the funds? So the airline is sacrificing a lot. That's why they keep saying, no, airlines are dying. Airlines are not. Why would they not die? Why won't they? How can anybody survive under these circumstances? All of this explanation was provided to FCCPC.
700. $400.
It's about 700,000. So, can anybody tell me whether you've ever cited 700,000? Anybody buying 1-hour ticket in Nigeria? Impossible. These same airlines, we are still, if you check on some of our rates, you will see 95,000. You will see 100,000. You will see 150. So how could you crucify us? And like I said, to be very honest with you, when Air Peace came in March 30 to start the London operation and broke the market, caused a massive disruption, even our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was very, very proud of us. We know that the federal government of Nigeria is very supportive of Air Peace, and we don't take this for granted. That is why we are shocked that an agency of government,
on their own, you have to stress that, please. On their own,
we know this is not the federal government itself. It's probably coming from some quarters, using the name of the federal government to do all of this unacceptable, damage to Air Peace. This is not good. Is disheartening. Is very disheartening. Now,
why didn't they call the press and tell them that time? They didn't send it out. I saw somebody from business there show what they published.
Yeah,
no.
It was on news yesterday. It was on news yesterday. Again, I was telling you earlier about when the chairman was in Abuja to have a meeting with them, and they said, and they said that it was just an inquiry, that they were not investigating Air Peace. And just yesterday, it's out there in the news again. We are investigating Air Peace. Any report otherwise false. Can I tell you what this has done to us in the last 1 week or thereabout that this whole thing started? One of the countries that we are applying to for slots, I will not mention names, one of the countries, a key country that we are applying to, a foreign country, to give us slots so that we can start our summer operation. They wrote us, they put it down in writing to tell us that, Air Peace, I don't have slots for you because you are not our priority.
Wow.
When they get this kind of news, what do you expect?
But do you know why anybody will be so bold to put this kind of thing in writing and send to you? Is when they read this kind of news, they will come to a conclusion that your own federal government is against you.
Against your business.
And we know that the federal government of Nigeria supports indigenous investment. We know they are not against indigenous investment. So it's really disheartening when people do this kind of things without understanding the implications, the magnitude of the damage they could do to themselves, because it's not just Airpeace. Chairman is not the owner of Airpeace. Airpeace belongs to Nigeria. What Airpeace has done in Nigeria today is for the benefit of the whole of this country. So we cannot sit back and allow this same airline that has rescued us to be pulled down for reasons that are not justified. We're talking about Airpeace exploitative fares. Okay, so where was FCCPC when Nigerians were being charged 28 million naira to fly abroad? When Nigeria was being charged 15 million naira to fly abroad, where were they? Even today, we have other African carriers that come to Lagos, come to Nigeria, that goes to other regional destinations that Airpeace don't fly to. Go and check how much they are charging. People are calling us every day. Presidents of other countries are reaching out to Airpeace to come and set up an airline in their country to break these shackles. Just because they've done their own homework and they've seen that anywhere Airpeace is flying to, these other African carriers will not charge you a arm and a leg. But these guys are still doing it. Nobody is asking them questions. And in Nigeria today, go online. We do our own comparative analysis every day. Even today, Airpeace is not the highest, it's not the airline that is charging the highest fare. But I can even speak even for every other airline here, that even what we are charging today, that was why I took my time to do that analysis earlier, is still below what our counterparts using the same planes, going through the same operating costs with better conditions are charging. It's a lot. It takes a lot to run an airline. This is the same country whereby by 6 or 7 p.m., what am I even saying? By 5 o'clock or 5:30, you cannot go into some airports. And the challenge with this is not the fault of anybody, it's where we are right now, isn't it? But these things can be fixed to help the airline. Remember I mentioned the insurance, I mentioned the CMI cost. Some of these things, these planes are not meant to sit down and not able to fly. If it rains now and there's bad weather in the morning, so many of our flights, we have to remove them, because once the plane delays in Lagos because of weather, maybe in Warri, in Nasaba, in Owerri or somewhere, and the aircraft is leaving Lagos at 10 in the morning. The other day we had to cancel the whole rotation of Akure because of weather. By 5 o'clock, 5:30, you cannot leave Lagos and go to Anambra. You can't enter Owerri, you can't enter Benin, you can't enter Uyo, you can't enter so many airports. And then your plane is sitting on ground. Meanwhile, the insurance has charged you assuming that you can fly your plane for 24 hours so that you can cover your costs. It's really unfair that Air Peace is being accused of exploitative fares. What parameters were being used to arrive at this word, exploitative? What parameters? What parameters? So we would not be wrong to say that this is a witch hunt act. What parameters? If they have the data, if they have the parameters, let them share it with us. That is being used. Today you say, oh, it's only an inquiry. The next day you go out to the press and say you are investigating Air Peace. After everything, we just felt it is important to put it on record. This is not about our president. We know how much support is given to us and is still given to us. This is coming for some quarters that we absolutely do not understand the reason behind this. Despite going to them to provide the explanations, honoring their invite, yet we are facing this. This needs to stop, because the damage is not only on Air Peace, but it's for Nigeria. Already, the optics out there, because of this happening in the last 1 week, is very bad. Hence, we got a reflection of that in the email we received, telling us, Nigeria, you're not on my priority. Can you imagine that? Meanwhile, their own airlines are coming in here. They chose the slots they wanted. They got everything. Before they say, oh no, it is because you did not do ABCD. You didn't apply this. I said, okay. We ensure to follow everything to the letter. And when the results came out, they were bold enough to put it in writing to us to say other airlines have more priority than you. You're not our priority to a whole Nigeria. And yet we're doing this. Why would they treat us as garbage? Please, please. It is important to understand how airlines arrive at their costing. In fact, if you have visibility of what the airlines are going through, you will pity us. Every time we try to charge, we are not even able to charge the appropriate fares, because a lot of people will not be able to fly. This is the honest truth. If you move away from US, go to Canada. I was going on a trip, and I was going to fly between Toronto to Winnipeg. And they were asking me to pay almost $3,000. I said, is it a crime to fly business class? I said, okay, let me try the economy. It was almost $400 and something. So we are sitting here and I just hope that we can really support our own. We're doing a lot. We're trying our best to put Nigeria on the global map. We're trying our best, our level best, giving it our all, not to allow these foreign airlines destroy what is rightfully ours. Just little support is enough. Don't destroy our effort. It's not fair. Thank you.